Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. I wanted to talk a little bit about a video game today, uh, because they're one I've been playing with the Warriors of Wednesday that has some interesting lessons in it for game design in general, but some lessons for tabletop role-playing games. Some that the designers might be very surprised I took from it, or maybe not. The game itself is called Atlas by Grape Shot Games. Not sponsored. It's just something that has caught our attention, and we have played. Oh God, way too much of. I got 185 hours in this game so far, and it's gonna go up this week at some point in time. Atlas is a game based on the architecture of Ark Survival Involved, using the Unreal Engine. It's a crafting survival game, and in Atlas, you are playing pirates. Not historical pirates, although they're based on historical pirates. You're fairly obviously not actually on Earth. It is an Earth-like world, but the geography and some things about some obvious things about the planetology around you are different. It's strikingly addictive. It is brutal in many ways. It is a difficult survival game. It is in early access. So it's got room to grow. There are some things about it that aren't perfect. The map geometry is often kind of wonky, and the survival is a little unbalanced times. The environment is needlessly harsh in some ways, and you have to manually balance your nutrition as you're making sure you don't starve. If you have an imbalance of vitamins, having too much or too little of a particular vitamin, A, B, C, or D, can cause you to randomly die. You randomly die for reasons you can't really figure out. Maybe I had too much vitamin C. It might have been a little bit too cold. Maybe I got eaten by a lion. Well, you know when you get eaten by a lion. And again, early access, it's not perfect. But it is lovingly crafted. The ship construction, which is still kind of a work in progress, but many aspects of it are just fantastic and engaging. And you get to operate a sailing ship and go find crew, and sailing a three-master or one. There's just a great variety of ships in there, and sailing those, it's a joy. For a little while, you're out of your head, and you're fully immersed in the game, and you're just trying to wrestle these tons of wood and rope to go the direction you want them to go. And the game is gorgeous. It is absolutely a feast for the eyes. They've gone like Unreal games can be. They just lean full hog into the spectacle that you can generate with this. We'll occasionally take screenshots of our game just because there's a astonishing sunset, or our ships and its masts and rigging looks so good up against that starry night sky. But they've gone. The maps do have occasional places where they could use some love, where the mesh does not conform to the hitbox and you're falling through the world or looking behind it in ways you shouldn't. It's mostly natural land. Natural land is interesting. There are streams and rivers. There are trees and rocks that you get to hack apart for resources. And there are occasional buildings, settlements, towns, something I would classify as a city, although not everybody I play with would. old fortresses, giant statues. There's ruins and temples. I want to talk about a city. I'm calling it a city anyway. Sorry, John. As my group travels to an island and we start to explore it, we find we really like it. We like it better than the island we've been living on, so start building a base. And there's a bridge within view. There's a beautiful port building in a cove. So we get to the port, and it's got some lovely docks, a nice port building. We claim this is our own because there's no one there. It's a gorgeous building with a couple of stalls out front that look like perfect for merchants, and well-built docks and torches lined up, so lanterns. But it's empty. No NPCs. No people. At night, the torches light up. But there's no people. It's not a ruin. It's a recently built building. It is in good repair. It looks nice. There's no doors. So it's not really made with people in mind, which is good because there's no people. And to some degree, I am hoping down the line, Grape Shot includes some NPCs. Or put some doors on some of these buildings. But at the moment, no, those are just empty buildings that could have been occupied 5 minutes ago. They look like they might have been occupied 5 minutes ago, or that if you knocked on the door, if there was one, someone might answer. They look flush and full of life, but they're dead inside. Go over the bridge and up the road a ways, and you see mills on the side of the road with their water wheels dipped in the river, running merrily away. No one in them. The wheels take a good amount of maintenance. You got to work on those to keep them running that way, and there's no one there. There's no one gathering flax. There's no one putting wheat under the wheel. There's no one there. They're alive with a light that comes on at night, and the flickering torchlight, and the colors of it, freshly painted, vibrant. But there's no one there. And if you proceed up this road, under a stone arch, you start to see houses, buildings, shops. Nothing's marked. There's the well. There's the fence around the town. They're not plopped down randomly. It is crafted like a better than average village, town, city. You first see it's a village, then you get through the arch and you can see a little bit more. It's like, no, this is a town. There's a lot of stuff out here. And then you start wandering through it, and you just keep wandering through it, and it meanders through these mountain passes. It's a city. There's enough people there to qualify for a city at that time in history. There's no people. There are chickens running around. You got chickens and pigs in the street, the occasional lion. That was a shock. You have the entrances of mines up against the sides of mountains. They're closed. The doors are sealed shut. You can't get in. These buildings have doors. They don't open. They're solid. Lights come on at night. There are squares arranged around wells and town centers. You can see where people go. There are carts with baskets on them, baskets of food out and about on tables, carts, and occasionally on stands as they're about to be sold or have just been sold. There's no people. And it is offsetting it is disturbing. You get a little unnerved walking through these areas. One of us has built set out a flag so that we can claim a little area there and building a little house. There's good resources, so we set down some resource gathering structures. So there's one person living there. It's one of us, surrounded by absolutely nothing. Almost. Now, if you look at it as it is, with no other factors, it looks like it's a city ready for people. Like someone has, like they placed the city here. They didn't just place a city on this map. This wasn't a drag and drop of an asset. This is a constructed city. Someone put time and effort into researching how towns in the 1600s were put together, how the traffic through them would have to operate, how the buildings are constructed. They look period accurate. They have, even though it's not Earth, these are obviously people who are familiar with the culture. The ships are all recognizable, mostly. So it's a researched, crafted town. You can easily imagine that at some point in time, the developers are going to start dropping NPCs into it. People. We're going to be hostile or not hostile. There are islands full of pirates. They're not that well put together. The NPC pirates that there are ports where you can find a few merchants and some people. There are NPCs in the game, just not in the spot. But then if you are in this place at night, sun's gone down, it is dark, the torchlights and lanterns throughout the city come on, as though there were life. And if you stand close to not all of the buildings, but some of them, occasionally, you can hear voices. You can't interact with them. You can't understand them, really. Just the sounds of life, maybe a little bit distant. They know. The designers know that they have a big empty area, and I'm sure when they were playtesting it, they got that unnerving, isolated feeling. There's an old episode of The Twilight Zone where the Air Force pilot wakes up to find himself completely alone, and it's just an entire episode of him wandering around this empty town, and it is eerie. It is one of the more disturbing early episodes of The Twilight Zone. And he just goes insane from the sheer, it's not just the isolation, it is how wrong everything is. That all of this stuff that it's obviously made for people to be there. And there's no people. You're wandering in this town in Atlas. You're on this southeast island. I forget the name of the map we're on. And you can't shake this feeling that there should be people here. What that is you're probably familiar with the concept of the uncanny valley. That we are very comfortable with the appearance of humans and how humans are, our signs of life and how we move and think and talk. That what makes us human, our appearance. if there's another human, we are decent with another human. Your mileage may vary, but if something appears to be like a human, the more like a human it is, the more we like it, except right before you get to, hey, it's obviously human, there's this dip, there's this valley where that's not quite right. Robots and a lot of computer generated imagery of people that look kind of like they're human, but they're not quite human. They're trying to look like a human, and it bothers us on a very fundamental level. The old Burger King commercials, if you remember those, with the king, and it's visceral. We have a inborn reaction to that. It's deep in our code. It's kind of universal for across cultures and peoples, that we have this reaction to the uncanny valley. And zombies hit this particularly hard because, we like living humans. We associate those kinds of life and biology with, that's a human. I can associate with that. But zombies don't quite hit that because there's something missing. Yeah, they're probably going to eat you. And some people would do that too. It's that lack of life, those dead eyes, that lack of a pulse, the pallor, the shambling, and then over time the degradation and the decomposition. But even before you get to the decomposition, that walking corpse state, that pale, cold, dead thing. And this city in Atlas has come very close to given me that uncanny valley feeling for a city. Now, I don't know if they added the voices when they realized that there was a little bit of a chill there, and if they just pumped it up a little bit, it could be genuinely not just spooky, but unsettling. But that uncanny valley feeling, it's like a city. It's like there should be life here. There should be things living. There should be children running in the streets and people laughing and people trading in the courtyards. There should be money changing hands for goods and people going off to gather materials from the forests or work the mines. They're not. Everything is there ready for people to be, ready for life to happen. It's all set. It's the framework of existence, and it's empty of life. It's empty of human life. And I don't know if I want to plead with Grapeshot to add the NPCs as soon as possible, or give us some tools for adding NPCs to it. Can I recruit people from another island? Can I bring them over? Can I take crew off of my ship and bring them up here and give them a place? I want to be able to go into these buildings, or maybe claim a building and set it up. Put down a claim flag or something, and now this building is mine. Now I can open it up and go in and put down furniture or something, and put people in it. It'd be amazing for that. I don't know if I want to ask for that, because I really want that. I want to see that right. But I also don't want to lose the opportunity to have that just unsettled feeling. I'm not playing this game. It's not The Sims. A mod that turned Atlas into The Sims would satisfy so many of my personal needs right now. And if anyone knows of those or would like to write one, let me know. Tag me. I don't know if I want that so bad that I want to pass up the opportunity for that feeling, that eerie feeling, the stories that it can tell. Every so often we'll go to that city There's stuff to do in this game. There's progression to have and things to fight. And there's undead pirates out there and giant leviathans and new places to explore and map and bigger ships to build, stuff that we need to do. There's a lot of stuff, but we'll find ourselves gravitating to the city every so often. And we've got a mine there. Got to go collect the metal every so often. So he's walking through the city, and yeah, you like scary movies, you like spooky stories, you like that, have those uncomfortable off feelings every so often, and this place does it in spades. We'll start telling stories about what may have happened here. There are other ruins. Well, they're not even ruins. There are other outposts throughout the island. There's a big stockade, a giant empty gate over a road in the middle of the island that we have tried to find a reason for. It led us to a second port and another little fort up the side that we couldn't really. There's an overwatch over a swamp that we just will sit down and look around. We'll try to figure it out. We'll try to assess what did they do here? Why did they build this? What did they have to worry about that they needed these defenses or that they had to stock things in this area? It's not telling us a story. It's suggesting 1,000 stories. And we're filling it in because we're not, it's not there. We have questions. Why would you build something like this? Why would you put that there? What was chasing you? And then at the end of the day, what happened? I am reminded of the real life story of the Roanoke colony, an early colony on the east coast of America, and just vanished. People who discovered the colony, there was a season, and travelers came after the winter, and it was gone. The colony wasn't empty. There were signs of they were just there, but half-eaten meals and doors open, and no people, as though they had been there a moment before. No people, no signs of struggle, no signs of any violence, not even signs of violence from the wildlife in the area. Just gone. The only clue, the letters K-R-O and A carved on a tree. History has its little mysteries like this, so maybe this is a nod to something like that. And if so, they nailed that. It's an undead city. It is a zombie of a city. It's everything that you need a city to be, but not the life. It hit my uncanny valley for civilization. And I didn't know that was the thing. I'd seen things like this. I've been to abandoned places, abandoned buildings. I've seen abandoned malls bother me. Even mostly abandoned malls. I'm used to malls being places of commerce and laughter and people walking around the food court and lights and colors. I've been to malls that were this close to closing down and maybe had one or two places left in it and just the last holdouts before they sold them off and bulldozed the place. I danced on the ashes of a particularly bad mall. But you go to that mall that's only got a couple of stores left, and there's these huge areas where everything's boarded up or closed, darkened. But they haven't closed the mall yet. And it's like watching someone on their deathbed. It is, especially if you spend a lot of time there and you're familiar with that place, and you have good memories of this place, and now it's dying, if not just dead, and it doesn't know it yet. Zombie mall. You drive through areas of cities that didn't have economic downturns. We might know one or two of those, where there's just not stuff. There's stuff is there, but they're starting to fall apart. There haven't been people there. The businesses have closed down. The people have moved out. No one's going to those shops anymore because there's no one going to those businesses anymore. And they're dead. You can call it a dead area town. In a big city, that's a tragedy because you can see the life that could be happening there, and it's just not. In a small town where that takes up a bigger part of it, that's a mark of devastation. And you don't know what's in there. And you don't know what's in there. Because things that do not fit anywhere else in society, people who don't fit anywhere else in society can find that. Often do. There are people who explore buildings like this. I couldn't do that because people who go into old malls, they're probably not safe to do. And I understand the thrill of that a little bit, but man, how do I take this to a role-playing game? I'm very glad for the experience in Atlas, because now I've got the tools for describing something like this. That's an astonishing mystery. We even started a scenario for a D&D game that would start where our characters, we've been out at sea, we came from this island with all this stuff, we went out to sea for a little while, and got our experience and got our stuff, we're experienced and have got some levels. Now we've come back home to rest, and it looks like everybody just left an hour before we got there. Food on the tables, doors hanging open, chickens running in the streets, but no people. Everything we expect to find in our home. The home is there, except for the people. Everyone is gone. No struggle, no violence, no blood. The people are just gone. You walk in the streets of the city in which you were raised. You pass by your old school building, the place where you had your first job, and they are empty. What do you do? Where do you go? What do you try to find? What do you do? I'd run the hell out of the game. I'd love to play in that game because you start off with this mystery and this thing hanging over you, this not knowing, and a whole city to run around in. You can gather supplies and materials. All the food is so good. Maybe that has something to do with it. But the merchant shops, the blacksmith's shop, it's just hanging open. Forge might even still be lit. That's not safe. You might want to put that out. Or maybe if you got a proficiency there, you might want to sharpen your daggers. Make sure your sword's temper is right, because you might have to use that stuff. Might as well move in. And everything's fine, and the sun goes down, and you're trying to make yourself feel normal by putting a hammer to steel. And you hear the blacksmith. Oh, he's not there. It's not anything you can understand. You hear his voice, but you can't understand the words. It's not talking to you. It's just talking. And then you hear another voice answering. Not that you can understand what's being said. You can tell there's a conversation, as though it's 1,000 miles away and right next to your ear. What do? Make a wisdom save. I love the experiences in video games that inform how I run and play role-playing games. And take those things maybe where the designers intended, maybe someplace else entirely. Or maybe, just maybe, there's some bigger, grander scheme going on that there's a lot of supernatural elements in Atlas. No idea. But I'm probably going to play the hell out of it when I get the chance. Well, thank you very much for following me along in this particular ramble. Thanks in particular to the Warriors, the Wednesday, Wayne, Josh, Al, Andrew, Jonathan. It's a pleasure running through these places with you, and I am looking forward to doing it some more. I am fascinated to see where these things go, and I don't know if anyone from Grapeshot ever comes across this video. I'm going to name the game in the title. And you feel like maybe you're reaching out and letting me know if there's a path forward for there being people there. I'd be fascinated. Or if you are into modding Unreal games, particularly like Ark or Atlas, I'd be really interested to know what it would take to get some people in these places. Because I'm enjoying the feeling of being unsettled, but at some point in time, I'm going to board that up and walk away because that's creepy as crap. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. Anything else you'd like me talk? Anything else you'd like to hear me talk about? Things that you would do in a game like this, or your experiences with games like Atlas or Ark or other games where you've had that unsettling, uncanny feeling. Things you'd like to hear me talk about, questions you'd like to hear me answer, leave me a comment down below. I will love getting your comment. You will love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the notification bell so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you would like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up on my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. Allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me. I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.